The Spanish Announce Table.
You have found pro wrestling's best podcast. We are the Spanish Announce Table. I'm Tim, that's Tom, and we implore you to hang out, be our wrestling friend, chat with us live as we do this live on YouTube on Thursday nights, or if you're listening back on the podcast, use hashtag tweet the table, and we'll read those on the next one like we're going to do later. Stay tuned for that. We implore you also to subscribe to the Spanish Announce Table, both at YouTube and, of course, SpanishAnnounceTable.net. You've heard a lot talk about this Substack. You don't got to remember that anymore. SpanishAnnounceTable.net. It'll ask you to subscribe. Subscription right now is free. You get access to all of our daily content, plus the singular newsletter that we've condensed into one email you're going to get a day that's going to give you news, match suggestion for the day, a little trip in the Spanish Announce time machine, and a fun find. Random fun find, right? All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, but if you are on Substack, you can also search Spanish Announce Table, because if you're subscribed to other publications, by all means,
Substack,
still be on the site and then look for us there.
Substack is also a unique app that you can utilize to kind of seek content, which is great. So we ask you to do that and follow us on there and talk to us.
Yes, and the finds are great. I don't know of them sometimes, and you're one with the Rock and the Pivot with Ryan Clark, which Ryan Clark is insufferable. However, it was a good interview. Fred Taylor's awesome. Channing Crowder, he's really good. Ryan Clark, RC and DC, that MMA show where he acts like he knows MMA, it's a little cringeworthy. However, The Rock was very transparent and very open. Talks about a lot of things that you may not know about. For example, just a little teaser here for you to check out. Go back to our email that we sent you, and if you didn't get the email, shame on you. Go to our Substack, then subscribe, and then you'll get this kind of stuff. But he talked about how when he was 15, he had to stop his mother from committing suicide by walking into traffic. He talked about
they didn't put that in Young Rock.
No, kind of. They did kind of. I've actually watched every episode of Young Rock.
Yeah.
They skirt around it, but
they don't have that scene in there. But
correct. Then he also talks about 3 bouts of depression. One bout he talked about was in 2017, which 2017 he's riding high as the biggest actor celebrity in the world. So that's also pretty interesting.
Well, so anyhow, let's pause for a quick second there to remind you that mental health is health, and we at the Spanish Announce Table support mental health awareness, and we want you to talk to folks, talk to your loved ones, see a therapist when needed, and take care of yourself. And you know how we do that is we talk about wrestling with our friends. So yes, subscribe to the SpanishAnnounceTable.net or Substack newsletter, get all that fun stuff. You can chat with us, and it's just the website now. That's what you'll see when you go to SpanishAnnounceTable.net, where you can find the link to buy our t-shirt at Pro Wrestling Tees, Spanish Announce Tables t-shirt. And as Tom said, wherever you wear this shirt, people don't have to know what the Spanish Announce Table is. Somebody's going to ask you what it is, and that's your chance to tell them about pro wrestling's best podcast, your favorite podcast, the Spanish Announce Table. You can also follow us, of course, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of those things. Look for the logo. You'll find us, and donate. You can go to that website, SpanishAnnounceTable.net, if you just want to donate. If you just got extra cash because you're a baller, donate. You can be the beer sponsor of the week. If you donate a good solid chunk of change, we'll tell everybody how great you are. But
come on,
Tom, we're here to talk some wrestling. We have an AEW Dynamite recap, and AEW Dynamite, holy hell.
We did a lot of living.
Holy hell. A lot of living in that 2 hours. So nice. You got to watch some of it twice, which I did. AEW Dynamite recap coming up later in the show, so stay tuned for that. We have some hashtag tweet the table to get to. Use hashtag tweet the table on Twitter at Table Show. Follow us. We're fun. Tom live tweets during AEW Dynamite and other shows, Rampage, live events like Backlash. I think you did some live tweeting there as well.
Yeah, and maybe in the future, a Saturday AEW show. TBD on that.
TBD.
But,
talked about it in the news that you get from SpanishAnnounceTable.net, Pro Wrestling's Best News. You also get that if you subscribe to the podcast. That's also a podcast subscriber benefit. Jeffrey Sills in the chat says, "What's up, boys?" And you know what's up. You know what's up here at the Spanish Announce Table talking pro wrestling. And gosh, I think we've plugged anything and everything we can plug, don't you think?
Yes, well, and here's a teaser to stay tuned. Jeffrey Sills made a great call on a past episode that we're going to circle back to in our AEW recap, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, Tim, before we get into our AEW recap, which we love to do, we always like to hear from the people. And you said before we started recording that we have one talking about the backlash.
Yes. Oh, we do have. Yes, you want to hit that. Let's go. Hashtag tweet the table at Brian J. Bay says Matt Riddle wearing a Funyuns bag for gear. Hashtag tweet the table. And that's the only tweet the table we got. And typically, if we get a lot of tweet the tables, it centers around a big WWE premium live event, as they call them now. And that didn't happen this time. However, I don't think that is a good indicator of how well that premium live event did, because Backlash got high grades from the internet wrestling community, right?
I will say this. Yes, after the fact, though. It's one of those things similar to like when AEW did Forbidden Door, where going into it, everyone was kind of like, well, I mean, all right, I guess I'll watch it. And then afterwards, you're like, holy shit, Osprey and Orange Cassidy, did you see that? So it was like in the moment, everyone's kind of like, no, okay, yeah. But then afterwards, everyone was like, whoa. And case in point, and we'll get to the tweet table, but one thing I did want to mention, case in point of what I'm trying to describe is Bad Bunny and the fucking entrance. I mean, you had circa Michael Jackson 1993 people crying and passing out in the crowd, and this motherfucker was owning the island, just coming out the Chambea and doing this thing. I don't know what this thing is. That's the only song I've listened to since Saturday, and I've been doing this to my wife. She's like, what is that? I'm like, I don't know, but it's fucking
but it's cool, right? And
yeah,
not as cool when you do it, but that's expected.
You know, with most things. Right. But man, Bad Bunny, a long ass match that he actually did really well. Shout out to friend of the show, Damian Priest, aka Punishment Martinez, who was on the show in a past episode, who did an amazing job on his end with the Bad Bunny match. Credit to everyone involved in that. Also,
we did interview Punishment Martinez from ROH. Don't know what happened to Punishment Martinez. You said it earlier. He's Damian Priest now, but he was super awesome. Gave us a great interview. It was really cool. Go back into the analog, or not analog. What's the word? The
archives.
The archives.
But don't listen to too much. Don't listen to too much. There's a lot of bad stuff in there, mainly from me.
Just find that interview specifically.
Find the interviews. We do the interviews really well.
We've seen Tom, we support mental health awareness because we've seen Tom battle with mental health and his awareness thereof over the decade that we've been doing this, coming up here in July. 10-year anniversary of this show coming up in July. Tom, we got to pull out all the stops for that, right? We got to call in every person that's ever been a contributor to do something for that. But anyway, we'll start planning on that on the backside.
But what I was going to say is the thing with the Backlash that I will give credit to WWE, which I do not like to do because they are a miserable company. However, when they do something good, you have to say it. You can't just be, tribalism and anti everything that they do. They did do a really great job of spotlighting Puerto Rican pro wrestling. So especially in that Bad Bunny match, you had Savio Vega, you had Carlito, you had not necessarily Cuban, however, Latin wrestlers like the LWO and Rey Mysterio. You also had them going back to what Puerto Rico was really known for in the pro wrestling world, specifically hardcore wrestling, right? Like they are known for a fork to your head, bleeding here, Abdullah the Butcher, fucking bleeding in the ring, Bruiser Brody, fucking lariat someone into a concussion city. You know what I mean? So like they also paid tribute to like what Puerto Rico is in the landscape of pro wrestling. So I will give them credit. They are still ran by a horrible human. However, in that one night, credit more to Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, but they did a really great job.
I will say this. It does give me the feeling that it might be true that in his advanced age and after having done this deal, Vince McMahon might actually be backing out
Nope.
of his like, well, I don't think he has the control of like every single decision, every single thing is going through me. And so like, because in years prior, this would have been all the Puerto Rico stars come in and get shit on, right? They get destroyed, they get tossed around like a chump, Roman must pose, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I think that would have happened if it wasn't Bad Bunny on the other end. I bet you Bad Bunny had some say of, if you're bringing Savio Vega, he ain't getting fucking beat up.
And there's this. Bad Bunny, as we've discussed, is unlike, we've talked WWE and their use of celebrities, and they've done it to great effect over the years. This, by all the numbers, is the best celebrity relationship they've ever had. That's part in Bad Bunny being the most streamed artist. We in America like to think of like being the mecca of entertainment, and that may be true in like movies and television to some extent, but it is not in music. Bad Bunny is probably the most famous person in the world. You know what I mean? Like Bad Bunny is up there with like Elvis at his prime, right? The Beatles at their prime.
You know how many streams it says per month he gets? Over 68 million. That's incredible.
A few more than the Spanish announce table gets. I will say that.
Just a
few more. That is a few more.
Just a handful. But hey, going back to the original tweet, Matt Riddle, yes, look like a bag of Funyuns. I will say this. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the no shoes. Maybe it's also no knee pads or wrist tape or something like that. But it's more jarring that he's in underwear than unlike when Tyler Bate or other wrestlers who wrestle in a singlet, or not a singlet, but in trunks do. It's just, I feel inappropriate watching him wrestle how he is now because it's underwear.
Jeffrey Sills in the chat says Bad Bunny is the most popular person in the world. He is more popular than The Rock. And I mean, he's probably correct in that statement. I mean, The Rock's up there. The Rock is known. He's Kobe level of known around the world. You know what I mean? Maybe under Kobe, but near Kobe.
I would argue, and this is splitting hairs, I would argue that TV and cinema is more popular than music.
Yeah.
Just generally. I'm just saying across the board.
Yeah.
Whoever it is. I'm not even saying Rock, Bad Bunny. I'm not comparing those two. I'm just saying, let's just say it's Brad Pitt and Drake.
Interesting.
Brad Pitt is...
We don't fact check here, but if somebody wants to look up those numbers, tell us if we're right or wrong, right? Like what's consumed more, who has more clout, so on and so on. Matt Riddle was wearing a bag of Funyuns, and Matt Riddle is an interesting character now in WWE, given everything that has transpired and
even this week
still transpires. Hey, listen, the guy is out there living his best personal life. I don't know if that's translating well into his best work life this day and age.
Well, for someone as young as he is, and I'm not saying he's 20, but you should know that anything you put on your phone or anything is probably going to get found out.
But I don't think he cares. You know what I mean? I think he's living unashamed.
Well, you're sure for himself, but if he wants to keep a job making the money he's getting,
respect of his friends and family, and
yeah. Well, not even that, because if you're like, hey, I don't give a shit what anyone thinks of me, cool, but your employer does, and that's where you want the fucking cool pool parties, you better get in line. Or
so how long until we see Matt Riddle in AEW?
Well, no, what I would think, honest to God, if this is just guessing, I'm just speculating here as a reckless speculation, which we may need a sounder for that. So like if we can have it underneath us and then whatever we say, it's like,
this is complete speculation. This is coming completely out of the ass of the speaker.
Yeah, and then just have some music. Right. So like whatever is
one of those like lawyer ones where it says real fast, right? Like
yeah.
Like the following comments are all
But then have the music, so then if it's like a minute into my rant and they're like, well, the music was playing, so obviously I was lying or joking around. But what I was gonna say is I would bet Matt Riddle, if he loses his job in WWE, I would not be shocked if we see him back in the real fighting world of an octagon or a cage.
Nice.
He's fucking good.
Yeah.
He's now, he hasn't done it in a while.
So you think like a Bellator situation, or what do you think?
Bellator, One Championship, PFC or PFL. Yeah, one of those companies.
Bum fights.
But bare knuckle Boxing is fucking taking over the world right now. Shit is fucking.
Tom, I got some land. You want to set up a barn and we'll just bare knuckle box it?
I know the fucking vice president of Bare Knuckle FC.
They want to do an outlaw mud show out here.
Well, that's GCW. Oh, and your news. Here's a teaser of why you should get our newsletter and emails. Your news about GCW and friend of the show Kevin Gill. That was heartbreaking. We're not going to say it on this podcast because you could check it out on the newsletter. But
this guy right here.
What up, though? It's your boy KG Kevin Gill, and you got it locked in while being driven through the Spanish announce table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sad news, enraging news, if you will, if true. Of course, there are two sides to every story. I try to stay very to the fact driven news here. I don't try to side here, but on the podcast, man, hey, we are Team KG all day over here, and man, we hope for the best for that situation because I would hope for a great resolution because they made a great team. Now, I don't know anything about the stories and what, that's for them to decide amongst each other, but GCW with Kevin Gill at the helm is amazing stuff. Amazing stuff.
Hey, so let's get into it now. Well, I guess, was there any other backlash thoughts you had before we move on? Cody beats Brock Lesnar.
I didn't watch it. So the follow-up to that is Brock Lesnar is attacking Cody Rhodes, right, on Raw, and they're piping in boos at a real bad level. I don't know if you caught any of that, like just the constant boo, right? It's like for 4 straight minutes, ooh.
Yeah.
I could keep this up for a while. I should stop.
Well, hold on. You're telling me that the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes,
scary,
ultimate babyface, is getting rejected by crowds? Have we not seen that?
Man, what happened here? I would
never
have guessed.
Well, what would you do?
Yeah.
I mean, is there
Wait,
any
and
data?
Are you telling me WWE is trying to push as the term lends itself, white meat babyface to the moon, and the crowd is saying,
no.
Nah. You're telling me that's happening? I've never seen that before.
But Tim, I will, let's all Tony Stewart and pump the brakes.
Okay, all right.
Everyone
Did he pump the brakes, Tony Stewart?
Well, that's here nor there. Here's the thing, though. Tim, he's so over. He's so over.
Pump the skis, Gwyneth Paltrow. Is that what we're saying here? I don't know.
Ooh, that's even better.
Right?
One.
Yeah. All right.
That's a more recent one. But Tim, we also have to keep in mind he's so over because in his song, Tim, we all go, whoa!
Songs get a guy over these days, don't they?
Oh! Well, you got a fucking generational talent in Seth Rollins who has no fucking character, but apparently we love to do a fucking abortion of a song chant with whatever
Shinsuke
the fuck
had
we're
no
hearing.
character in WWE, but yet
Easy. Shinsuke had charisma.
Yes, charisma. He had no character in WWE.
Well, he was
His
King.
charisma was his character.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was a fucking straight killer that would really kick you in the head. And then, oh, by the way, I kind of come off as Prince. Like that was his thing. With Seth Rollins,
still is. To be clear, he hasn't been let go or anything.
That motherfucker is legit as they come. But with Seth Rollins, it's all. And I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's all force fed. It's all, right? And then the song, someone has to explain this to me. Jeffrey, Theo, Kata, going back. Someone has to explain to me who likes that fucking song. Who likes that
Which one?
fucking
The
song?
Shinsuke song?
No, the Seth Rollins song. The Shinsuke song is legit. This burn it down. Okay, so then we got like a speed metal. No,
do we really just
rant.
I have said this since I figured it out in the days of Conan in the Wolf Pack, right? I went, you just got to get a chant. You got to get a chant or something that people can do repetitively over and over again. Songs fit this bill, right?
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you got to do. That's all you need.
I'm not even arguing that that's a thing because, yeah, 1,000,000% wholeheartedly agree with you. I'm saying, who likes the fucking song?
Yeah.
It sounds as if Bobby Roode and Seth Rollins came up with the tag team and mashed their songs together, and it sounds like that. It's miserable. It's a bad song. Who's listening to that when they run? Anyone?
Yeah,
Is anyone listening to that shit?
Certainly not. Certainly not.
It's bad.
Jeffrey Seals also said in the chat earlier when we referenced 10 years of the Spanish announce table, he said 10 years, so I missed the first 9. And yes, we began this show in 2013 out of a radio station. We had a battle with the Evil Corporation.
Seals. Oh, boy. Yeah. You have missed the dark ages of my mental health.
We have had a storied career of technical difficulties and a lot of anger. A lot of vulgarities throughout the years, and maybe some of that will be revived on the 10-year anniversary. We're going to have to make some calls in. We're going to have to call upon some folks who may not be found. They may be in parts unknown in this day and age. This might be like a Raw 30 when we have people come out of the woodworks, right, that we haven't seen in a while. So, yes, but speaking of the past, to know where we're going, and we are going to talk about AEW Dynamite, and to know the future well, how to plan for the future and know where you're at in the present is to know where you've been, right? You've got to study your history, right? And we like to do that by taking a trip in the Spanish announce time machine and going back and seeing what happened in pro wrestling. A little glitchy there. I don't know what happened there, but we'll figure it out. We'd like to know what happened on this day in pro wrestling history, right? And we figured this out last week. As a podcast exclusive, you're going to hear what's happening. We're going to talk about next week so that I can cut this up for social media clips, right? Right? And I'm going to talk about Monday through Friday, something that happened each day in pro wrestling history on that day. And Tom's going to kind of have to guess something about it, right? It's a fun little game that you can play along with if you're watching live on the YouTube, right? It's a fun benefit of that. So, Tom, are you ready for... We're getting a little glitchy.
I am.
Like that.
Yes, indeedy, feed the needy.
Yes. All right. So, first one up. May 15th, 2000. All right. Okay. What were you doing 2000, May 15th?
Oh.
Probably had a 2XL shirt on?
Nope. Well, I had 2XL basketball jerseys and football jerseys on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure I was doing that.
Over a T-shirt?
No. You do the long sleeve T-shirt and then the jersey over it. That's what you did.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
And then... obviously, I know what I was doing in 2000. I was wearing the most red of basketball shorts with my NWO Wolfpack shirt, telling any motherfucker to step up, and then challenging the rival high schools to go to the pizza street that was in the middle of our two high schools, and we challenged them to fucking skee ball. What's the thing with the knobs and the little soccer players, whatever that fucking game is called?
Foosball.
We're doing that. And then we would do arm wrestling. And motherfuckers, I ain't got the biggest arms, but I'm a fucking arm wrestler. I'm like Sylvester Stallone and over the top. Put my hat on backwards and motherfuckers are down for the count. Down.
I like that. All right. Well, then let's that was what you were doing on this day on May 15, 2000. But let's talk about what happened on this day. May 15, 2000 in pro wrestling. 3 title changes happened on WCW Nitro from Biloxi, Mississippi.
Man, all on brand.
Chronic. It was Brian Adams and Brian Clark, otherwise known as Adam Bomb and Crush. Defeated the Franchise, Shane Douglas, and The Wall for the WCW World Tag Team titles. The Wall. Remember The Wall?
I remember. Oh, yeah.
Crowbar and Daphne defeated Chris Candido and Tammy for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Tammy. Tammy.
Tammy Lynn Sitch.
Right, yeah. And in the main event, Ric Flair, woo! Won his 15th World Championship by defeating which wrestler?
Nope. Oh, was this when Kevin Nash just handed it over the title to him?
Nope.
Oh, that happened. That
Yes,
was one
it
of his
did
title
happen.
reigns where Kevin Nash was like, you should be the champion.
Yep.
Ric Flair defeated for his 15th time
On May 15th,
On May
2000.
2000.
Is that coming across
So I don't-
glitchy? Tell me
That's
Jeffrey
ad-
Sills
yeah.
in the live stream. I don't know what's going on there.
I'm going to say it feels like he defeated DDP.
He defeated your favorite
Jeff Jarrett.
JEFF. JARRET. Jeff Jarrett. 2000. This is hot prime Russo time, right?
Motherfuckers. Do you realize 23 years later, we're going to talk about that motherfucker on last night's episode?
Yeah. If I would have told you, hey, in 10 years, on the Spanish announce tables, 10-year anniversary, we'll be talking about Double J. Would you have believed it?
I'm saying in 2000, if I would say 23 years from now, that guy that just lost to Ric Flair, he's still going to be on television.
All right, I'm trying to reload that on this day, and we'll see if it works any better when we talk about the next one.
All right, let's do it.
All right. On this day. Whoop. A little different.
Well,
It works for now. Not exactly what I was after, but we'll take it. We'll take it. So Tom. On this day. May 16th, 1998, ECW held their A Matter of Respect 98 event from the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The main event saw Spike Dudley, the Sandman, and Tommy Dreamer defeat Bubba Ray, D-Von, and Big Dick Dudley in what type of match?
oh, fuck. I don't know. Flaming tables?
That's a
what I
good
would
guess.
guess.
That is a great
Yeah.
guess. The correct answer is a Stairway to Hell barbed wire ladder match. Yes.
I mean, look, I said the same thing.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean?
ECW 98. I think we talked about this last week, but what we saw a bloodied main event for AEW Dynamite, which we'll talk about later in the show, but ECW 98 is still like none other.
Oh, man, that was the prime. Because that was like Taz on top as your champion. Shane Douglas was on his way out, but still trying to get over Just Incredible. Then you had Al Snow with his head fucking doing the styrofoam things everywhere. You had Dawn Marie coming in as the new, hot eye candy. Francine was still there trying to...
Oops. Look at that.
Fuck
Whoops.
me. Why do I need to talk?
I don't know
Just
what that
go
was.
ahead.
Yeah, that was it. Don't know what that was.
Anyhow, ECW was great, so let's just move on.
All right. Yeah, we're back to glitchy. We got to figure that out. Don't know what's going on there. May 17th, 2009. WWE Judgment Day was held in Chicago.
Okay.
John Cena defeated the Big Show.
Okay.
Batista defeated WWE champion Randy Orton by disqualification.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio pinned Chris Jericho to retain the Intercontinental Championship. And Edge pinned which wrestler to retain the World Heavyweight Championship in the main event? On this day, May 17, 2009.
So, gonna be completely transparent. I was still touching base with wrestling at this time, but I was knee deep in UFC. This was like height of UFC period for me. So I'm not as great with the. On this day.
There it is again.
Yep, you just keep on cutting me off.
Yep.
Just fuck me.
Yeah,
Why do
nah,
I need
yeah.
to talk?
Yeah. Trying to spice
yeah.
up the show a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I guess.
We're working it out. See, this is the technical difficulties. We got to work it out, right? You got to bend out the kinks, right?
All right.
Name of your sex tape, right?
Sure. I'm going to say Jeff Hardy. Was it Jeff Hardy?
Jeff Hardy's a great answer because the correct answer is Jeff Hardy.
Hey,
2009 WWE Jeff Hardy, right? Remember, this is one of the, I feel like they did this 4 or 5 times where it's like, Jeff Hardy's a thing again, guys, right? Like, you guys want Jeff Hardy? Is this his fame? Is this the run where he actually won it, or was that later? Was that the more of the
I think it's around the time. I think this is around the time. This is the, what the fuck is their name? Freddie Prinze Jr. This is him writing for Jeff Hardy time.
I get that.
All right, what do we got next?
All right, we'll move on to that's better. WWE Raw, May 18th, 2015. Right? This is not so far back. WWE in Raw in Richmond, Virginia. WWE United States Champion John Cena's weekly open challenge was answered iconically by which superstar?
Where was this at? Say the city?
Richmond, Virginia. Richmond, Virginia. Happened May 18th, 2015. John Cena, United States Championship Open Challenge.
Kevin Owens?
NXT champion Kevin Owens. This was his main roster debut. The match did not happen at Raw, if you'll remember, as Owens attacked Cena, stepped on the belt, leading to a champion versus champion match at the forthcoming Elimination Chamber. Kevin Owens has hit the ground running since he joined the WWE main roster, and he's good stuff.
He is. I'd say he's cooled off as of late.
Sure.
You know, he's kind of done a little of this. But yeah, he came out over as you could get, rode that all the way to Triple H crowning him as the champion, obviously doing the awesome stuff with Chris Jericho in between. But then since then, it's kind of like, you know, it's still great. I mean, still at the top, but not the like fucking man anymore.
Probably the best answer to an open challenge they've done, right?
No.
Of those kind of matches? What else?
Nope.
What am I missing?
Nope. In Canada, the worst, grumpiest man in the wrestling world, Bret Hart, introducing Sami Zayn. Now, the match was not great, but that fucking pop, it was so exciting for Sami Zayn, he fucking threw his shoulder out before the fucking match even started. So, yeah, no, that's the best one.
All right,
and then there was also that Cesaro match that Cena had with him. That was amazing as well. So, yeah, those would probably be the top two, with Kevin Owens being a close third.
All right. Well, now that we're working out the kinks here on this one, this will be the final of the week. Tom. May 19th, 1996.
Woohoo! Okay. Oh man, this time period.
WWF set a company record for a non-televised gate for a WWF house show at Madison Square Garden in New York City.
Of course.
The Godwins defeated the Body Donnas to win the WWF Tag Team titles. Vader defeated Yokozuna. A lot of meat. Big meaty man slapping meat right there. Hunter Hearst Helmsley pinned Razor Ramon. And Shawn Michaels retained the WWF Championship against Diesel in a steel cage match. And this might be a softball. Tom, what made this the most memorable WWF house show in company history?
Oh, this is the one where the lawsuit came out later that Vince McMahon sexually harassed one of the employees in the back.
No, that happened several other times. Well, you're thinking of other times.
Oh, okay, right. okay. Right. I got it. I got it.
And there's more to come, probably, too.
Right.
Right. Allegedly. Okay. Allegedly. Let's take a Pat McAfee lesson here. Allegedly. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Okay, so then this has to be the time that Vince McMahon tried to skirt the athletic commissions by redefining what he was bringing to their state, right?
No, it's not that.
One.
No, that's not
this
it.
one.
Not
okay,
that.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
all right, yeah.
okay. 96. Okay, WWF, Vince McMahon. Oh, this is the time that Vince McMahon was trying to undercut WCW by doing bad business practices and then making Ted Turner pissed off. No?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Last guess. I don't know. A curtain call? Was there
The curtain call, yeah. Hall, Nash, Michaels, and Helmsley would all embrace at the end of the show, publicly breaking kayfabe, now known as the curtain call. Yes, I figured that was an easy one, but what else are you going to say, that happened on that day in pro wrestling? It's fun to take a trip back in the Spanish Announce Time Machine and find out what happened on this day in pro wrestling. We'll work on that graphic. Worked so great last time. And just...
things happen. Hey, even
things
Babe
happen.
Ruth struck out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a decade of, fuck it, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll do it live.
Hey, so let's get into, with no time wasted here, let's get into last night's AEW Dynamite, because it was Dynamite, and I bet we're going to probably get into a lot of it. So let's take our time and talk about it now. So it kicked off. No entrances. They're already in the ring. Fuck it. We're doing it live. Claudio Castagnoli taking on Rey Fenix in a double Jeopardy match, which means that the Ring of Honor heavyweight champion, Claudio, if he were to lose to Rey Fenix would get a shot at his heavyweight championship. And if Claudio were to defeat Rey Fenix, Claudio and a partner that he can name later would take on Rey Fenix and Penta, the Lucha Bros, who are the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions.
That is
so
a great name for this instance where occasionally that can happen, right? You can have two people who have titles associated somehow, right? And a title shot either way is on the line based on this match, right? Calling that a double Jeopardy match.
I love it for this instance too. There's so many times in pro wrestling where the faction or the figurehead who has goons and minions underneath him are wanting all of the gold. And so instead of just doing this convoluted bullshit way of getting to the tag championships and in WWF, the Intercontinental or US championships, this is a way of just saying, hey, we're going to cut the line. If we beat you, then me and my buddy over here, we're going to get the shot at the tag titles. And then I'm going to have the heavyweight championship and the tag titles. And then reversely, if the tag champions are like, hey, we're really, Triple H and another guy, well, then Triple H can say, and now I'm taking my rightful spot at the top and becoming the champ by beating or having you beat the guy. And then we get the tag shot. Like there's a lot of good storytelling you could do with
Absolutely.
it. So,
double Jeopardy match. Love it. And Jeffrey Sills in the chat says, this was a banger. And I agree with him, right? Claudio works well in this instance where we've talked about it. He can he never has to work the under, right? He's always the over guy because of his strength, even when somebody's like comparably sized. Mm-hmm. Right. But this is where he shines, right? Like he can look like a monster throwing a dude around and still go toe to toe with some of the higher, risk, if you will, maneuver. Not even high risk, more so just kind of the cardio level, if you will, of this style here of Rey Fenix.
Well, both guys, in my opinion, they're the best when there's no other things needed in a pro wrestler. If there was no other things needed in pro wrestling besides wrestling the match, these might be the champions forever. Like they're that
really good. They are very good. Yes.
This is where they're at an A+. I would argue the other things that are important of being a pro wrestler is where they have their shortcomings, which is fine. People have strengths in different areas. This just happens to be both of their strengths. I like this match a lot. I liked it because it also was competitive. And I've talked about in the past where I don't necessarily love that your heavyweight champion has to take 15 or 20 minutes to beat someone on the roster. Cause if they're the champion, that wouldn't happen in combat sports, right? If, let's just take Israel Adesanya, the middleweight champion. If he were to fight the 17th ranked middleweight in the UFC's division, it wouldn't take but 2 rounds. You know what I mean? So like the back and forths, I'm not really great about. However, with this, I think it showed your tag champions are fucking legit as shit because one of them almost beat the goddamn heavyweight champ. So that's what I liked about that.
No, it was good. Good stuff. Banger of a match. And like you said, this is great for cold open. Miss me even with the entrances because, you know, Ray Phoenix got a cool entrance. I'll give you that. But nobody's like, oh my God, I got to see Claudio's entrance, right?
Right. Yeah. And really, if we're being honest, and no offense to Ray Phoenix at all, but the Lucha Brothers entrance is Penta's entrance.
Yeah, it's Penta's entrance, right?
Yeah. So
yeah, Penta will get the same response from the entrance. Ray Phoenix probably not. So yeah, get this cold open. We don't need a story because you're telling me right as we start, this is a double Jeopardy match, right? The Excalibur, who does a great job at that kind of thing, can explain what's on the line as the match gets started. Loved it.
Now, Claudio gets a victory here, so I have a question for you. This now means that Claudio and a person to be named later will get a shot at the tag team championships. My question is that going to be Yuta? And if that is Yuta, do they beat the Lucha Bros? Because then those two would have all the championships.
It's not a bad route to go.
Well, they would not have the TV.
They wouldn't have all
the TV
of them,
is
but yeah.
with Samoa Joe. But the pure heavyweight and tag champions would all be BCC.
I don't see why not. I mean, again, you're running that as like, hey, we're fucking shit up. We're coming through. We're beating people up. We're scarring faces, and we're taking titles, and we're hollering at your ladies. And I don't hate it. So I
not those two.
Well,
they ain't hollering at ladies.
No, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he should make Jeffrey Sill says who's going to be Claudio's partner: Yuta, Danielson, Moxley, Callis, which would be fun, right? And he just brings Don Callis and he beats who, you know what I mean, both of them. And he's like, yeah, and he's like, here, you have the title, right? But yeah, again, I think we'll get there later, longer in the story. I don't think they're associated, of course. Yeah, it's probably Yuta. I don't see see Danielson or Moxley doing this. So I think it's Yuta.
Unless the match was on an AEW television show, the other two, Moxley and Danielson, don't appear in ROH. So I would think it would be Yuta. All right, so let's move on. After this, we go backstage and we see 2 feet walking. Looks like a man. We pan up and holy shit, this is when the pace of the show gets into high gear and it never gets off. Fucking Miro back on the screen, and goddamn them. Spoiler alert, we don't see him again for the rest of the night. And I was just so geeked. I was like, oh my God, we got Miro back. Like, yes, I'm excited, but I can't wait. I need more. I've been needing Miro. I needed more Miro in my life. I think we've discussed this several times over the last year. It feels like there is a Miro-sized hole in my heart that hopefully will be filled here very shortly. Well, Miro gets interrupted on his walk to the office by Renee Paquette. Renee says, hey, it's great to see you. What's new? He no-sells the question and walks into Tony Khan's office.
Is Renee Paquette the only person who can safely stop Samoa Joe or not Samoa Joe, excuse me, Miro, en route to his goal without getting bodied?
Well, yes, for 2 reasons. If we're keeping in kayfabe, right? One, she has the credibility to say, okay, I'm going to take whatever you're going to ask me as a legit thing and not some fucking dork trying to just get an autograph kind of thing.
Byron.
Right. Greatest last man standing match of all time with Bryan Danielson. He also mentions he was in the greatest dog collar match of all time. And we see, I think, for the first time since All Out in September, one CM Punk in video footage. So what do you make of CM Punk being on the TV now?
Yeah, I'm gonna again address, because I think we did glitch there for a second for anybody that's watching the live stream, and there may have been a glitch in the audio recording. A little bit of a technical difficulties again that we referenced earlier caused the stream to go down momentarily, but just for a brief second. And Tom was talking about Miro back on, and now we're getting sort of this CM Punk is back in on the video package, right? This is the first we've seen or even heard of Punk being referenced outside of Tony Khan saying, a guy used to work here. And you know what I mean? He's not going to be around for a while. So, yeah, we can get into this, right? Tony Khan made his announcement, right?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't make an announcement. He said next week I'm making an announcement.
Yeah, he said I'm making an announcement that I'm going to make an announcement. And all signs point to this being a new show on Saturday, right? And potentially a deal with Warner Brothers that might see all of AW's content being on their platforms, including a streaming service. May or may not. That's a lot of speculation. But we've said before, Tony Khan has an issue with
Blinking.
Blinking, for one.
He doesn't like it.
He doesn't like it. Two, doing this. Hey, I've got an amazing announcement that next week I'm going to make an amazing announcement. You know, and you're just like, all right, cool it. Now, we happen to know, I think being pro wrestling nerds and following the pro wrestling news like you do here on the SpanishAnnounceTable.net, that, you know, what this may be alluding to, but a casual may not. And I don't know if this still comes across great.
Well, that's not for them, right? I think he does it really good. I think if you go back to when Darby Allin kept on saying, if you think you're the best in the world, then show up and all that kind of stuff, it's to get everyone at the same time, right? Because you know what would be the worst thing? Two things. One, he announces it last night and he's competing with, unfortunately, Trump on CNN, the NBA playoffs, and the NHL playoffs. And if you make the announcement and a third of your audience is fractured into NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, and then
Trump,
hopefully not, but Trump, right? Then no one really got the big gist of what had happened, right? So if you could say the time and date is next week, right? So I got an announcement. Oh, well, what is it? One more week. Well, shit, now I've got to talk about it. Now we've got to say, well, what is it? Don't you think it's this? Well, I don't know. It could be something else. It could be Punk. It could be, you know, and now I don't know what we're competing with next week, but I'm assuming with his scheduling, he's going to say, we don't have Sixers, Celtics, or Heat, Knicks to compete with. So now is the week to say it. We've built up to this moment. Here it is. Because just like with Punk, if you would have said, Darby Allin walks out and says, I need an opponent for All Out, and here comes CM Punk, well, then everyone's like, what the fuck happened? You didn't like tell anyone? So I think he does this really well. I get what you're saying, where it's he has an announcement and then it's another announcement. It's like, well, because we watch every week, right? Like we're not going to miss a show, generally speaking, if you know circumstances are within our control. So just tell us now. But as you mentioned, casual viewers, like I have coworkers who are starting to get interested in wrestling because of me and a coworker telling them about pro wrestling. So we could tell them, hey, you need to watch next week. There's a big announcement. Now, we wouldn't say for this one, but like if it was Punk, for example, watch next week. And that's the benefit of doing it this way.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I am excited to see what's to come. Sounds like we're going to get more AEW content, and that I like. I will say all of the non-Dynamite content, non-Dynamite and non-pay-per-view content that AEW has given me has been nice, but I've wished it was a little more. Now, all signs point to this being a little more, so I'm waiting with bated breath, as they say.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the streaming service because there's so many things that I want to go back and watch that I don't necessarily want to watch a full show of. You know, again, hate to give them credit, but I will because it was great. But before they went to Peacock, the WWE Network was goddamn almost perfect. Like you could search a wrestler and get their individual matches, watch the individual match, hit the back button, go to the next one that was 2 years later where he's taking on someone else or she's taking on someone else, right? My hope is AEW is saying that's the format we want. And then I could say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to search Kenny Omega and I'm going to see Kenny Omega take on Moxley in the death match. Then I'm going to see him take on Joey Janela. Then I'm going to see him take on the Young Bucks with Adam Page. And then I can just watch it that way because that's how I want to consume all of these amazing matches in AEW's history, and promos too, right? Like if you could just go through and just watch the promos of Jon Moxley, that'd be fucking sick.
Jeffrey Sill said, I had to choose between both the Heat and the Panthers playoff closeout games and Dynamite. I chose Dynamite and kept track of both games.
Ooh,
that's
but
saying
they
a lot
both
for
lost.
Dynamite.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Panthers and Heat both lost.
So good. So you watched Dynamite then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, you didn't have to suffer through that.
Well,
Tom's itching to get to cracking up tonight.
Cracking up. Seattle cracking, baby. Fuck the Stars. Dallas, you piece of shit city. You fucking Texas, you cult. Hate that state.
So mad they drafted Deuce Vaughn because I'm like, I don't want to root in any way for Dallas.
Yeah,
like,
well, don't.
Yeah, I just won't. Like, sorry, Deuce.
Yeah. Bye, Deuce. Yeah. That was your bad.
Sorry.
You were forced to go play for them.
Could have went to the Chiefs. Yeah.
All right, let's get back into Dynamite here. After that video package, then we get another video package of Omega and Moxley talking about the main event. We'll get to that in a second. But then we get FTR. Dun 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 dun. And they say, hey, we want to talk to our best friend, Mark Briscoe. And then Team TNA comes out. And they're like, no, we want a title shot. And they're bickering and bitching and moaning. And here comes Mark Briscoe. And he's like, you guys seem like you can't get along. So what we're going to do, they're getting the title shot. Team TNA's facing off with FTR. But here's the kicker. I'm going to be the special guest referee, which will be cool. Look at that, Josephine.
She's excited about that.
Fucking pumped about this shit.
She's ride or die for Mark Briscoe.
Loves Mark Briscoe. Has her t-shirt. And then a scuffle happens. And here's where I get it, but also like, really? A scuffle happens between Team TNA and FTR, and Mark Briscoe's trying to keep the peace. However, Sanjay Dutt throws a drink into bald FTR's face. He's blinded. He can't see. So he's doing a lot of this, if you're on the video. And then someone bumps into him. And instead of, I don't know, pushing him to the side or pushing him away, he says, motherfucker's getting a pile driver. A perfectly executed pile driver. Well, that person is Mark Briscoe. And then here comes the fallout from that. What did you make of this whole segment?
Goofy in that regard. I mean, crisp on that pile driver. Man, that was clean. Real clean. Just very
that's
slow.
Your default?
Right?
Well, but that's your default? That's your default is pile driver. Not body slam, not clothesline.
Yeah, I can't see who I'm fighting, so I'm going to put them in a pile driver, right? Yeah. Not going to swing, not going to kick, not going to double leg, right, and start throwing elbows.
Nope, pile driver.
Pile driver, right, yeah. Why not a fucking, why not a suplex? Like, why not
a spine buster? Yeah, why not? Something.
Yeah, I love that. Jeffrey Sill says this was stupid as fuck, and all of it is, man. Look, I know some people like Jeff Jarrett. I know we despise him a little more than the average fan, apparently. But I'm gonna give credit to Jeff Jarrett if this is not Jeff Jarrett and this is all a work and he just wants us to hate him, because I do. I just don't like the guy, and I don't want to see him on the TV. And so the quicker we can get over with this.
That's the thing, though. That's what I think is the most aggravating part. Is it's not MJF or Kevin Owens or Chris Jericho circa 2012, where it's like, that motherfucker, I hope someone beats his ass, right? Triple H and Evolution, where it's like, I just want someone to fucking beat him. I don't want him on the TV.
Jeffrey Sills says, I love Double J. And let me tell you, Double J, when I see Double J, especially now, right, and his whole look, right, he's out there rocking the fucking sleeveless tee with the handlebar mustache, right?
And gloves.
And boots, and gloves. Gloves but no sleeves. Cowboy boots, even though he's never seen a field in his life, right? Black jeans, right? Handlebar mustache. The most yellow-dyed hair you can find in existence, right? Looking like a McDonald's French fry. And I grew up in Manhattan, Kansas. I've got uncles that grew up in southern Illinois, right? You know how many of these guys I've had to be around at the bar? I ran karaoke at a damn softball dive bar, Tom, in Manhattan, Kansas. You know how many Jeff Jarrett's I've seen in my life? I don't like it. I don't want it. And that's the thing is that's not Jeff Jarrett trying to get heat is what I'm saying here by dressing and acting like that. Jeff Jarrett, doesn't he live in Tennessee? Like, that is Jeff Jarrett, right? Like, that's him. That's what he's always wanted to be, is this guy, and I don't like it. I just don't like it.
Here's my reason of not liking Jeff Jarrett. Outside of some of the, global force gold bullshit, I'm pushing all of that to this side, right? Because again, I don't need to know the fucking personal lives of any of these motherfuckers. They're characters, right? Fun fact, the guy that plays Wardlow, his name isn't Wardlow. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't fucking need to know anything about him. So let's push all that to the side. Here's why I don't like Jeff Jarrett. One, there's nothing new under the sun with this character. There's nothing where I'm saying, oh, I didn't see that in 2000 from Jeff Jarrett. Because I could even say in GCW, it was this vortex of Weirdsmobile where circa 2000, Jeff Jarrett was inserted into the Nick fucking Gage world of GCW. That's just bizarre, and I'm interested in
it came through the glory hole.
Yes. So that's what I'm interested in. In AEW, Sting is here, right? There's many of WCW motherfuckers. Arn Anderson's here. Like, there's many WCW
Tully Blanchard was hanging around.
Yeah. So, like, I don't need more. And on top of that,
especially a WCW 2000 guy.
Well, yes. And ask yourself this honestly. Do you see, honestly, Jeff Jarrett in any meaningful storyline? Or is he always going to be in this? And if it's always going to be in this, then I'd rather see a new story told, right? I would rather Kip Sabian be in this role, or Butcher and the Blade, like someone where it's like, well, I don't know what the fuck could happen. Where could they evolve? Jeff Jarrett's done all the evolution he can do. He's just playing the hits now. And it's like, I'm done with it. That's why I don't like it.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, if his claim to fame is a punchable face, we've got other guys that can fill that.
Yeah, or a guitar. Like we can have millions of other fucking a cowboy. Hangman's a better cowboy. You know what I mean? Like, we could do plenty of other fucking things. Now, all that to the side. Again, I will say, I can't recall. Maybe I am missing here, but again, we don't fact check. I believe though, this is going to be our first special guest referee at a pay-per-view. I can't recall another special guest referee in a pay-per-view match.
Was there a special guest referee for the Shaq match?
No.
There was. No.
I think this is it. I mean, that's Dynamite. I'm saying for pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But even on Dynamite, I don't know that I've seen it in AEW.
I can't recall any special guest referee.
We need the fact checkers.
Yeah. So I'm interested in that.
Fact checkers.
Yeah. Nerds. Why don't you read a dictionary?
I look on Wikipedia.
Ooh, actually, when you're using a double negative, you should have a comma. Fuck you.
I'm waiting for the fact checkers on the
On this day!
They're gonna be like, that was the 17th, not the 16th, you nerd. I'll be like, look, I stole this from another website. What are you fucking?
Yeah, who cares? We're having fun here, right?
Trying to get clicks over here.
Yeah. Well, peeking behind the curtain. So yeah, going back to this, I'm interested in knowing what a special guest referee will look like in AEW, because you could run pro wrestling tropes, or you could try to reinvent the wheel. So I am interested in that, I will say. All right, let's keep it moving. We go backstage. Chris Jericho's upset that Adam Cole attacked him. And so he has a pro wrestling restraining order. Okay. It would have been cool if we saw Mark Sterling there, because he's the AEW lawyer. I would have just had him stand behind, right? That would have been fun. And then before he could really even say anything other than, if I'm in a building, Adam Cole can't, Roderick Strong comes up and he's like, well, that's my friend. And guess what? If he's not in the building, guess who can be? Me. And we're going to do a Falls Count Anywhere match. Okay. And then he goes, guess what? I got a lawyer too. And he says the JS is banned. So it would have been funny. Again, here you go. Let's take a quick break here. I had the pin. This is where Mark Sterling just standing in the background would have added more comedy because they could have both looked at him and be like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, I don't know.
He was the lawyer for both. You know what I mean? They both are like, well, I got a lawyer too. And they'll be like, and he'll be like, fuck. And then like he just happens to be over there and he'll be like, get over here, and be like, and they both start talking to him. And then somebody's like, wait a minute. And, you know, Renee or whatever, she could have been like, wait, you were the lawyer for both of these guys? And they'll be like,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's like,
You could do more comedy, right?
Yes.
Even in the paperwork. If the paperwork, the lawyer
No, it would have been
signs-
way better. Because, again, restraining order, again, a guy I know a long time ago said a thing he hates in pro wrestling is concussions and cops, right? Because, concussion in a storyline, you're trying to knock somebody out for 3 seconds so you can pin them. That's a concussion, right? Like, we shouldn't maybe necessarily harp on that. Let's come up with something else. And then cops. And even lawyers, I think he said. Like, cops, everything we do in here could be construed as assault, so the cops could be called at any time, right? Mm-hmm. So you're drawing a line at a weird spot. Same thing with lawyers, right? Again, if we're talking about the legal system here, a lot of this could be construed as civil matters and legal matters. So, but I think the idea of one guy got a lawyer to get Tony Khan to agree to, you know, all right, nobody, you know, whatever Chris Jericho's stipulation was, what was it? Like, no.
Restraining order.
Yeah, you can't touch me when I'm in the building or whatever. And then he comes in saying, okay, well, it's not him. Right? It's not Adam Cole, baby. It's Roderick Strong. And I got a lawyer too, right? And then he goes in, and we got this. And then we get this, you know, Mark Sterling gets called out for being both of their lawyer, right? Because he's the guy who he's the Saul Goodman, if you will, for AEW, which would be great. It could be a running gag. It would be the Spanish announce table gag of AEW.
Yeah. Now, I will say another thing that it just falls apart on is Roderick Strong got something wrote up and the other party, Chris Jericho, had not agreed.
Yeah,
there was no agreement on Chris Jericho's part. So it's not valid.
Yeah.
It's not valid because there's no actual match at the time that Mr. Uncharisma, Roderick Strong, fucking got drawn up.
Yeah, and hear me out. I don't hate the idea of like, hey, we're going to get a no holds barred, right? Is that what they said? False count anywhere? It's false count anywhere or no holds barred? I don't know.
That was, same thing.
Anywhere. Well, great, but it's Chris Jericho, right? Like, Roderick Strong, fine. You know, that'll help the man that Charisma forgot. We've discussed this. In ring, fine, right? Fine, okay. Doesn't miss a beat generally, right? Doesn't wow me, but telling a story is kind of boring, and they made an attempt here. And so fine, right? We're going to get a match, but at least we're going to get a false count anywhere, right? But part of what made Roderick Strong okay is, I mean, he is good in the ring, right? Yeah, he's the mat technician. So falls count anywhere. I don't need to see him swinging a chair or, throwing Chris Jericho into catering or the Dippin' Dots.
I don't need to see him at all. I just don't need him. Anyhow, let's keep it moving. Renee Paquette is backstage, and
why is
she
he not
says,
Rod Strong? Rod Strong.
Because he's not creative enough.
Rod Strong.
Tim. He's been doing this for 20 plus fucking years.
Never put two and two together, huh? Always the Roderick.
Yeah.
His 3-syllable names work great for chants in pro wrestling.
Indeed. Hey, so Renee Paquette is backstage and she says, I'm going to get an update
Thaddeus
on
Johnson coming to the ring. Never.
And she says, all right, so we're going to look for Miro. Miro's in here. We're going to get an update. And then son of a bitch.
Oh, hold on.
Okay.
Jeffrey Sills brought up something in the chat. Roderick Strong brings Jericho outside the building because it's false count anywhere, and that's where Adam Cole is waiting for him. Because he can't be in the building when Jericho's in the building.
If that's the case,
Sleuthed.
Look,
He nailed it.
I'm not.
Fucking nailed it.
I'm not saying that couldn't happen, but that would be a swing and a miss on AEW's part. That is a WWE move. You know what I mean?
You said I couldn't be in the building. Here I am. That's exactly what's going to happen. He's going to say, you said I couldn't be in the building. Here I am in Mick Foley Pop Town, whatever, right? Not in the building. It's Adam Cole, baby. Then he's going to give him one of these, right? He's going to give him the fucking testicle twister and give him the Kansas City cunt punt and match over. Rod Strong wins.
Yeah, I mean, sure. But like, yeah.
The disappointment on your face of me interrupting you to go to this and then leading to just more disappointment of like realizing that's probably what's going to happen. It's been great to watch, I got to admit.
All right, so let's move on. Renee Paquette is backstage, and she says she wants to get an update on Miro.
Yes.
And son of a bitch, it's not Miro who we see next. It's Thunder Rosa. And she says, well, I guess I'm going to walk into Tony Khan's office as well. So what do you make of disgruntled, if you're reading the dirt sheets, disgruntled employees, Miro and Thunder Rosa, walking into Tony Khan's office?
My immediate question was, that's where we've seen Renee all night, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to go back and watch, but hasn't she been hanging out there trying to get Miro? So is Miro still in there? Is Thunder Rosa just going to go crash the party? How does Miro take that?
Or maybe he says, I got someone to co-sign.
Or are they together, right? Like, are they in on a plot?
That's what I'm saying. Not necessarily like they're a couple,
romantically together, no, but a plot.
Right, but they're like, yeah.
Man, for a hot second, when she's like, I want to get in touch with Miro, right? She's like framing it as Miro. Female enters. I thought for a hot second we were getting Lana. And then I realized, I was like, oh shit, that's not Lana, that's Thunder Rosa.
Way better. God, I do not need to see Lana again. I mean, looking
the
at
pop
Lana's
will be
okay.
huge when that happens, if that happens, but
depends
the
on
initial
how
pop, if you know what I mean, if she just shows up somewhere after Miro's back, right? If we're getting the correct Miro, but we'll discuss that as things happen.
Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, and then after that, Tony Khan, as we mentioned, makes the huge announcement about a huge announcement. And then we get into the international title match. It is the hardest working man in professional wrestling, Orange Cassidy, taking on, I don't know what now anymore, Daniel Garcia. What is with, I get it.
I said this on Twitter. He looks like the Situation from Jersey Shore.
But now, it's a lot like the Seth Rollins, where Seth Rollins was something, then Seth Rollins was trying to be something else, but then Seth Rollins didn't fully commit to that something else, so then he kind of went back to what he was, and now he's a 50-50 version of two different characters. This is how I feel about Daniel Garcia, where Daniel Garcia was, I'm a professional, or I'm a sports entertainer, but motherfucker, look at these hands, like I'll fight you. But now it's the I do the dance thing, and so like okay, but then it's then I got the hands.
If what we've told, if the overarching story that we have at least been trying to tell, from my estimation, with Daniel Garcia is, he's a pro wrestler who bought into the cult of the Jericho Appreciation Society. And is told, you're a sports entertainer. You got to do the dance. You got to wear the pants, right? Like, you got to do all the things, right? Which is a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're talking about WWE here. You're not a superstar. You're part of the AW Galaxy. You're they've had all these terms. Well, then we got to get there. He has to have that battle of, no, I'm not. I'm a wrestler, right? Like, I'm a dinosaur, right? Like, we need the I'm a wrestler moment. Not a sports entertainer, fuck you guys moment. We need that to happen, or else this is all just spinning wheels and just playing the hits with the Daniel Garcia.
And that's what I'm hoping for, because in this match, it was back and forth, but it looked as if there were different times that Garcia had Orange Cassidy beat, and instead of beating him, he did the sports entertainment, and then that ended up costing him this match. That's what I'm hoping for. However, I will say we kind of flirted with that already, and it was better when it was Bryan Danielson and Chris Jericho fighting over Daniel Garcia. So if we're doing that again, this kind of feels like the Acclaim's title win, which happened a month too late.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
Okay, so then after that, the Outcasts say they're going to beat up Hikaru Shida. That's fun. And then Christian Cage and Luchasaurus come out for a chat. And Christian Cage playing the hits, and he don't miss. He's saying, hey, he ain't got a dad, but he ain't famous, so I'm not going to talk about that fucking bum. And Arn Anderson, oh, you think he's a good dad? He doesn't even like his fucking son.
The Detroit crowd, first of all, is something that we didn't touch on yet, but man, they brought the money tonight. There's not a whole lot to make you feel good about living in Detroit, I gotta guess, right? So this probably AEW Dynamite showing on town probably helps a lot. And they brought it. And Christian Cage, the masterfulness with which he does this, he fucked up. Right? Like he flubbed his line and stumbled over himself and paused and used that to get more heat, right? To just let it muster. And just in the grand scheme of things, you kind of don't even, it's a blip on the whole thing. Like I haven't heard a crowd wanting to just boo over somebody this much since Elias said the Seattle Supersonics line, right? Where they just were like, fuck you. Yeah.
I will say a more recent example was the Puerto Rican SmackDown when Dominic Mysterio was trying to cut his promo, and they were like, fuck you.
Yeah.
What were they calling him? A dick sniffer or something? It was, they were just all over him.
Yeah.
Also, side note, and we'll get back into Dynamite.
I will say dick sniffer.
I will say another credit to WWE. And again, they have had the worst history of trying to be inclusive. However, when they're in Puerto Rico and it was the Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, Rey Mysterio, and LWO, and it was all in Spanish, and they didn't have any subtitles. Nothing. That was fucking cool. Like, again, I don't know what they said, but I got everything from body language and tone.
I tell you what, though, like, I wouldn't have minded subtitles. Subtitles would have been fine. Like, you'll put, you know what I mean? Like,
well, it would have been hard live, but I wouldn't have mind afterwards that if Corey says to recap what they said and then did
because that's the thing is, like, again, if we're live, trying to do live captions would require somebody translating live, and that's going to be behind. So you would have to mimic that. So to see subtitles correctly in line with things would give away. Again, look, we all know it's kayfabe, but we're supposed to act as if, right? We don't go into the movie going like, remember, this is fake, guys.
Yeah. Well, but also, just as you said, Christian flubbed his line. If they flub their line, they're not as seasoned as Christian. They might do something else, right? But yeah, going to the SmackDown segment, if they would have done a recap but then had subtitles then, okay, cool. But I thought it was great that they didn't and what I said was, they just fucking did it on Spanish. Credits him. That was awesome. All right, now let's get back into this.
Christian just heat. The heat, man, he's so good at this. Is one of the reasons he's in my like top 10 favorites of all time is Christian.
Yeah, I am curious though, because Luchasaurus is just standing there and we got a new look for him, and he's just cool with that. He's just cool with Devilsaurus, and that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, and he doesn't care that Christian's just taking this title shot. Jeffrey still says, come on, guys, this is the Spanish announce table. And I need to reiterate, because I had this conversation at work with somebody. We are the table. We are the Spanish announce table. We're not the Spanish announce commentary team. We're not the Spanish announcers. We don't know Spanish. We're the Spanish announce table. We're the inanimate object of the table, right? Yeah. Because our dreams are crushed constantly, right? We're always experiencing difficulties. In there, right? It fits. All right. At work, my boss now owns one of the Pro Wrestling Tees Spanish Announce Table t-shirts that you should buy on our website, SpanishAnnounceTable.net. Just look for the link that says buy our shirt. Can't miss it. And buy our shirt. Affordably priced. Great stuff. Where were we, Tom? We were talking about
the next matchup, and it was at the top of the hour, and it was a women's match. This wasn't right before the main event.
It was not?
Yeah, it was at the top of the hour, and it wasn't a Britt Baker match. It wasn't a Saraya match. It wasn't even a title match.
They did the main event early.
Well, I mean, obviously. Hey, look, being completely honest with you, that main event we'll get to was fucking awesome, and it deserves the time that we'll give it. But this match was pretty fucking good too. Anna Jay and Julia Hart. Now, breaking kayfabe, they always say you hit your friends harder than you hit someone who you don't know or may not like, because you know, like, it'll be okay afterwards. And these two girls must be fucking sisters, because they beat the shit out of each other. God damn.
Yeah. And man, yeah, they went hard. They went out to prove something in this one, and they did it. I enjoyed this thoroughly.
Low key, Anna Jay, hardcore legend. I'm just gonna say hardcore legend.
I love it.
Fuck you, Mick
Choke
Foley.
you out.
Yeah, but think of the matches that she's had. I mean, this one was incredible. She had one on Rampage, which, again, I'm not fact checking, but I cannot remember. But then the one that I think is the most iconic was the New Year's Eve, I believe it was New Year's Eve, tag team match that she had tagging with Ty Mello against Penelope Ford and the Bunny in that street fight. And holy, that's a match of the year. That match fucking rules. If you want to put top 30 matches in AEW history, you got to put that in there somewhere. I'm not saying number one, but that match fucking rules. That's another one where, like, the streaming service, I don't want to go back and watch that full episode of Rampage, but I would want to watch that match again. But yeah, this one, fucking great.
Well, joining the chat just now is another great member of the Table Nation here. Justin Floor says, was happy for Julia and Anna Jay to get this spotlight on Dynamite. Most of their storyline was on Rampage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I do think has a purpose. Now, again, let's break kayfabe for a quick second and assume what we know is going to happen the Saturday show. And what we've heard through retweets, at least on my end, is that Rampage is essentially going to serve as the dark and elevation for AEW purposes. And that's fine. But have story still be there. That's the thing I do not want to have happen to Rampage, is it's just squash matches for an hour. See you next week, because I ain't staying up that late to fucking watch it, right? Now, I'll DVR it, but you get what I'm saying. If you can do a story like this, Anna Jay versus Julia Hart, and it does 4 to 5 weeks of awesome backstabbings, backstage segments, or promos and all of that, and let's be honest, Anna Jay versus Julia Hart isn't going to necessarily get you to buy the pay-per-view. So if its pay-per-view payoff can be Dynamite, that's fucking awesome. Because then now you got a badass match for Dynamite that got you some time filled. And then me, dumb fuck, smooth brain over here, will want to watch Rampage if I know this kind of shit's happening. So I think it's perfect.
Jeffrey Sill said Anna Jay did take a power bomb into a table, missed the whole table. Yeah, the very ending of it. That really was I felt so bad for them in that moment.
Yeah, who was it that power bombed her? Was it Tony Storm?
Oh, it was in this match at the end of this. She missed the table off the.
Yeah, but I'm talking about there was a time where she got power bombed off the ramp. And they missed the table, and she got the wind knocked out of her.
I don't remember that. Yeah, I don't know.
But
even in this match, they missed the table, right? The spot was fine, pin was fine, missed the table.
Yeah, but look, guys, I got a chemo brain. My fucking brain ain't working anyhow. That's why I read. I can barely do that. So we move on. After that, Julia Hart actually picks up the victory, which I thought was interesting. Here's the other thing that I thought was fascinating about this match: both heels.
Yeah, that was what stuck out to me at the beginning, and I kind of forgot that until you mentioned it. Both heels, both full heels, right? Not even tweener, full heels.
And it started with, if you recall, hey, JS wants the Trios Championships because House of Black has it. And then, now our women in the factions bump up against each other. And so now this is how that
is it Willow? Jeffrey still said Willow. Did Willow miss the... Yeah, right.
Yeah, boom, and missed everything.
Willow doesn't know her own strength. Missed it.
Nothing matters. Smile anyway. That's her fucking motto. So, miss the table. Who cares?
I like that.
Nihilistic. All right, so Julia Hart gets the victory, right? And we move on, and I want to get your opinion on this because I did see some people while I was live tweeting not be happy about it, but I thought it was funny.
On Twitter?
On Twitter. Crazy, right? We go into our trios title match. It's House of Black versus Spanish Best Friends because it's Bandito and
Best Amigos.
Best Amigos. That's what it was. I knew it was something like that. So as you recall, this is a house rules match, right? And so we're backstage with Renee Paquette. She's talking to Bandito and the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. And they say, or excuse me, Renee Paquette asked them, hey, what's the stipulation? Like, what is it? What are you picking? And the Best Friends dumbfounded her, like, what are you talking about? Like, you got to pick something. Well, no spooky witches, like, because of Julia Hart, which I thought was funny.
Yeah,
however,
all witches are banned from ringside.
Yeah, all spooky witches banned from ringside. I will say, though, I understand the criticism of this was the first house rules match, and you kind of undercut it with, well, these motherfuckers don't even know the fucking thing they're walking into. Now, again, they're the Best Friends. They may not need to, but what'd you think?
Which, I mean, that somewhat makes sense, right? This is a new thing. So we're like, oh, that's what that meant? Because, again, we came away a little confused last week on what that third rule supposedly meant. We thought it had something to do with no DQ, right? Which he did reference, but the point was it can be that or whatever, right? Like, this is you picking a stipulation, which is awesome. It's awesome. I don't know that I like the, let's turn all the other lights off. I guess it fits. It's House of Black. It's darkness.
No, that fucking ruled. That, I think, is going to catch on and be AEW's Bray Wyatt entrance. Trust me, in 7 weeks' time or whatever it is, whenever they get the next match on Dynamite, you're going to have motherfuckers turning on their phone with the lights. They're going to act like they're fireflies,
So
fireflies,
possible.
like,
all that's possible, but hear me out. Again, we have the house rules for the Trios Championship because it's the House of Black. Is this only for House of Black matches? Are they the champions this whole time? So, like, this means a long run as the Trios champion for the House of Black.
Oh, I wouldn't. I mean, I could see this. I could see them losing the Trios Championship, and then in their next feud, the payoff be a house rules match. I could see them adopting this stipulation outside of being champions.
You don't even have to be the Trios. It could just be any of them in any feud they're in, right?
True, right, yeah. Alistair Black, Brody King, and Darby Allin reignite their
format
feud.
fits. 20-second count.
Yeah.
Right? Other stipulation, whatever it is, right? Whatever.
yeah. You come here for all the
fact check.
great...
We just drop facts.
Yeah. You come here for all the hard-hitting wrestling takes. So this presentation, I liked a lot. Looked like a 1970s Harley race, Dusty Rhodes, steel cage kind of match. Best Friends
like
and
it was
Bandito.
a Kemper.
It looks like it was at Memorial Hall.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
Man, that motherfucker smelled like shit. Love that place, though. Slept there many times. But the House of Black.
Parking lot, inside, office.
And fun fact, if you don't know what we're talking about, Memorial Hall is where Ric Flair won his first world
of
championship
16.
of 16 from Dusty Rhodes. There you go. I used to work there for 3.5 years, so I know all the fun facts about Memorial Hall and all the secrets. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about House of Black beating Best Friends and Bandito. So that is to lead me to my next question. Where do you see House of Black moving on to after this?
Yeah, this is a unique situation they're in, right? We have the house rules match. They have the titles, but they feel like they have to be the aggressor. Who's signing up for that, right? Like, who's trying to, they have to be reigning terror for us to want to cheer on somebody to overtake them, especially if we kind of like their gimmick and their thing. Do they almost have to be the faces here? Do we start positioning them as the faces against the heel tag or trios teams? Who are the trios teams? Yeah, where do we go with this?
You know who the next, now that I said that out loud, I was thinking a little bit harder about it. The next ones to get the shot, you would hope, because they won a fucking battle royal, would be the Acclaimed. The Acclaimed. Now, what will that look like? The Acclaimed scissoring in a House Black
and what
House
is
of Black
their
House Rules match.
stipulation that they bring?
Scissors are allowed,
Yeah,
and they
okay.
fucking come trying to stab him with scissors.
They bring the Bruce the Barber garden shears.
Yeah, motherfuckers, what's up now? They're like, we didn't have scissors.
They
Sucks
bring one
to
of
be
those like
you.
battery powered pruning fucking clippers. Cut a finger off.
Yeah. Oh God, they need to. That would be so much fun. And then they're
Cutting a finger off?
Yeah, I mean, fucking, you know,
Hey, the best
finger.
friends brought a chainsaw.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Fucking, let's do that. But I think it's gonna be the Acclaim. It fucking should be, right? Because the Acclaimed
pick.
are spinning
Good
their
pick.
wheels. They're not doing anything either. So, all right, now we get some fun video packages. Ricky Starks, Jay White. We're not gonna talk about it because we'll get to it when it happens. But we get to the main event in a steel cage. Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley. And Tim, I don't know how long this match was, but it felt like a lifetime because we did a lot of living. We had chairs with barbed wire. We had a spot where I got shocked. Jon Moxley goes underneath the ring to grab a black bag. And by all accounts, disgruntled or, pro wrestling, I know better than you, people will say, oh, that's thumbtacks. And the motherfucker brought out broken glass?
Broken glass.
That's a different kind of cut.
Yeah. Yeah. A thumbtack is a very precision-ish
Right there.
hole, right? Like, yeah, we know exactly where this wound is. We know what kind of cut it's going to make. We know how deep it's going to go.
Not glass.
We know how to get it out, right? Like, we know, like, it's very easy to just pop right out. Glass can get embedded, and you have to sometimes remove, you know what I mean?
Or
Tissue
you
to
die.
get the glass. Or you die.
Or you die.
Or you die.
Oh
yeah.
my God. This one, look, I don't know where I saw it, but they made the joke that Jon Moxley hasn't bled in like a month and a half, and it was because he was saving up all of his blood for this match, because they got right to it. It was the chair with the barbed wire that busted up his back, and then Kenny Omega busted up his hands and his wrists and all the, I mean, and the V trigger that fucking brought Jon Moxley out. Here's the part of that, all of it that I thought was, who took the worst of it? Kenny Omega. I thought he ripped his ACL with the way he landed.
And that's where, I mean, do you think the spot was planned and they didn't land it well, or that was not? Yeah, that's what I took away from that was they meant for this to give way, but man, they landed wrong with it. Right? Like they didn't hit it right.
Yeah, because I really think, and maybe I'm over analyzing here because I can do that from time to time, but it looked like the trainer came out there to be like, hey man, did you really fuck up your leg? Now,
Well, I think Kenny even was like, get over here. You know what I mean? Like, I think there might have been something. Yeah.
Like, hey, and they're like, I think you're going to be good. Like, okay, cool. Yeah, it looked of all the people in that little spot. And I know
think he said, get over here. Is my foot facing the right way? Yeah. All right, good. Then I'm gonna do the match. Let's go.
Yeah. All right, I'm good then. Okay, cool. I don't want to look down if it's not.
Yeah. I don't want to look like private party number 2 or whatever the fuck just happened. Right?
Oh yeah. No. That was
Top Flight. It was Top Flight. Top Flight 1. Top Flight 1. Dante, right?
I was doing the fucking plane. Yeah.
It was the other Top Flight who got hurt, right? And now this Top Flight. God,
mm-hmm.
Man, poor guys.
Yeah, it was Fat Top Flight that got hurt.
Top
then he
Flight
got in a
2.
wreck. Yeah. And then Top Flight Single Star. Now he's hurt.
Top Flight 1. Right.
Yeah. Top Flight
Top
1.
and Flight.
Top and Flight. Yeah.
Right.
Top is hurt now. Flight
right.
is still
right.
going.
Yeah.
But so we get, all right. So again, we could go through all the different spots, but just know it was fucking hard hitting as it was anticipated to be, and it delivered. Now let's get to the finish. As mentioned, V trigger out of the ring. Omega's like, what the fuck happened to my leg? Which again, could be a work, could be a shoot. We don't know. Could be both. Moxley gets up. They both get in the ring. Moxley, what does he have here? I put the note here. He had like the screwdriver. He had a screwdriver, and he goes and he's like, I'm gonna hit Kenny Omega right in his fucking head.
Right in the head.
And Don Callis with his ugly ass fucking suit and loud ass shoes grabs it from Moxley. Says, you ain't gonna do that. And then Kenny Omega grabs him. One-winged angel, which that's the most shocking part of this whole thing, is that's like the most protected move of most protected moves in pro wrestling right now. And so we've talked about this in the past, and this is where I was teasing it earlier. Jeffrey Sills called it that Don Callis was going to turn on Kenny Omega. I think we kind of understood that. However, I would have not anticipated it being after a one-winged angel. So right. Kenny Omega hits that move, and then fucking Don Callis takes a screwdriver to his head. Now, the part I missed out here that I'll get to now is earlier in the match, the Young Bucks took out Yuta and Claudio to get them out of the picture, but Danielson was still at ringside on commentary, and as Don Callis hits Kenny Omega in the head, they go right to Bryan Danielson, and he is as shocked as anyone else.
Yeah, you thought he probably didn't know this was coming. He loved all of this.
So my question to you, though, is that true? Is he telling the truth in his reaction, or was this the Blackpool Combat Club's plan from the whole
I don't
start?
feel like this was the Blackpool Combat Club's plan from the start, just because the gimmick they've been selling and the story they've been trying to tell as of late doesn't involve a character like Don Callis, right? However, the question then becomes, Don Callis ain't getting in the ring and fighting Kenny Omega and potentially the Young Bucks, and so who is Don Callis? Who is the Luchasaurus to the Christian that is Don Callis?
You know who it is?
I don't know who it is.
It's Takeshita.
They're really
building
think that's
up.
where we're going? Is
Yes.
evil Takeshita?
Yes. Because Tim, you know who
this is going to fail with me, I think.
Well, but you know who they're bringing in? If you read the tea leaves, and if you just look at one guy's specific Twitter who will tell you all the fucking meetings he has in a day, it's bringing in Ibushi. So you're going to do Claudio, Yuta, Danielson, Moxley. 4. Then you're going to do Omega, Young Buck 1, Young Buck 2, Hangman. And then these 4 are going to, we hate each other, we hate each other, we hate each other. Don Callis, in my bet, if I was, again, writing the pen or anticipating what they're going to do, we ain't seeing that motherfucker till Double or Nothing, right? So it's Kenny Omega saying, Don Callis, you motherfucker. But until then, Moxley, right? Like, it's going to be a refocused on Blackpool Combat Club. So we're going to get the Hangman comes back, which is going to fucking rule. And then it's going to be 4-on-4. And then they're going to be doing a blood and guts match or whatever kind of fucking match it is. And then when Kenny Omega has Danielson for a something, that's when Don Callis and Takeshita come out and get Omega with the Kansas City comp punt. And then we're going to do Omega, Takeshita with Don Callis as the mouthpiece.
I mean, Don Callis as the mouthpiece is going to work for anybody, right? I don't.
And this Takeshita motherfucker can wrestle.
I'll yet to be seen for me on if I'm going to get behind heel heat for him in the match.
Oh, I'm wrong. I'm a fucking idiot. Tim, I'm a fucking idiot.
Okay.
God,
I mean, I've been aware of this 10 years.
I call myself an AEW fan. I'm a fucking idiot. Good God. Ugh. I am disappointed in myself. I'd be yelling at the podcast if I was listening to this. This is what it is. Dumb motherfucker here. This is what they're going to do. Because Blood and Guts are 5-on-5. That's what I was fucking missing. So it's the 4 Blackpool Combat Club guys plus Don Callis and Takeshita. Don Callis with Takeshita. That's your 5. You're going to get Young Bucks, Omega, Hangman as your 4. And then that's when Ibushi comes in and he goes, guess what I got? A fucking golden lover. And then they're going to fucking win. You know, that's it. There it is.
It should be an evil heel turning Hangman that Don Callis is leading against Omega. Jealous.
No. I mean, okay,
Angry.
look. In the career of
another
Hangman,
timeline, that would have been
well,
good.
well, what I would say is in the career of Hangman, we definitely need to see a heel version. There can only, like, I love Sami Zayn in NXT as the babyface, but he needed to evolve. So I do think Hangman needs to be heel sometime. But goddamn, don't you love him?
I do love him.
Don't you just love him?
I would really love a heel Hangman with Don Callis, though. That would be
No,
so fun.
I just love him. Oh, but that would be fun because
Don
then
Callis enabling Hangman's almost like a sympathetic heel, right? Like he's enabling Hangman's depression and alcoholism.
well, what I was thinking, I like that idea. What I was thinking is if you go back to when Hangman was going through his depression, that's when Kenny Omega was doing all the over the top obnoxious stuff with Don Callis, like the painting. Remember the 2-man painting?
Oh, I
And
remember
so
the painting, yeah.
Yeah. So then Don Callis would just run it back with Hangman. So they would have the same exact thing, but then just put Hangman's face over Kenny's. And he's like, see, isn't this great? And Hangman's like, it is.
It is great. That looks just like me.
Yeah. I totally missed out. This is amazing.
Yeah. In fact, he puts like the butterfly pants on the painting of the guy, and he's like, "Yeah,
exactly.
that is it's me."
Yeah, and he's like, "This is what we did with Kenny on Thursdays," and he's like, "This is so great." And Hangman's just like, "This is the best," and he's like, "You know what we'll do for you, Hangman? We'll go shoot guns," and then just fucking
you're right.
shoot guns.
Yeah, you're right. All of this is for the New Japan loving base of AEW fans, which is Tony Khan, which is the Young Bucks, which is Kenny Omega. So you're right. That is what all this is leading to. It just,
and
I wish there was something different because I haven't followed that scene. I don't want to say I dislike that scene. I just never followed it, so I'm not a big fan, you know?
Well, I will say, look, I was out on Jay White. The stuff that I've seen of Jay White, I still was out on Jay White. Jay White came into AEW. I am even more out on Jay White because he is closer to Carl Anderson than he is Kenny Omega in my book, right?
Great.
Or just let's just say the Good Brothers, right? Both of them.
Yeah. I think I'd rather have Carl Anderson.
No. I'm saying the floor is Carl Anderson. The seal or the roof is Kenny Omega, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the
no, but that's what
right?
I'm saying. Like he's closer to Carl Anderson than he is Kenny Omega. But if you told me you can have Carl Anderson or Jay White, I'd probably take Carl Anderson.
Right. Okay. Yes.
I think he's closer because he's on the other side of. Yeah.
Okay. But I'm just using that as the analogy, right? Okay.
Yes.
So I think Jay White is closer to Carl Anderson than he is Kenny Omega. However, Ibushi, from what I've seen, and especially going back to that Cruiserweight Classic, he is closer to Kenny Omega than he is Carl Anderson. So, and you go back to that Golden Lovers thing that I was never a part of with Kenny Omega and Ibushi. I want to see what that is in real time. So I'm actually kind of excited for Ibushi.
Okay.
I like him.
All right. Well, we'll see it. I think you're right. We're going to see it.
Indeed.
All right.
Hey,
so,
look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Justin Flores said the floor better be, what did he say?
He said it better be
Gun
Machine Gun Carl Anderson and not OC Carl Anderson.
No, they both suck. They're both bad.
One's the floor and one's the subfloor, man. Let's not.
No, I don't like either one of them.
Machine Gun Carl Anderson was better than, Motorcycle Mechanic.
Yeah.
Gallus.
Your dad's
Gallus
best
Anderson.
friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, your dad's best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hey, that was AEW Dynamite. An amazing episode. I thought one of their better ones of all time. I thoroughly enjoyed everything. Miro, Thunder Rosa. What will that be? The announcement of announcement. What will that be? Kind of know. And then we've got so much on the horizon. We
So
still
much
got
on the
Double or
horizon.
Nothing.
Yeah, I'm super excited for all of that, and I can't wait to talk to more of you about it in the next coming weeks. But we'll leave you with all of that. But just remember to check us out on SpanishAnnounceTable.net. Subscribe to all the things, and please Be our wrestling friend.
The Spanish announce table.